approximately 20 lines down. The line starts ma. Va'orez lav ma'ase kederahu. Is rice not a stew? And we're referring to here that we said before that rice is shahakal, and a bar nefashis is said right afterwards. You can actually see the words bar nefashis, as opposed to ma'ase kedera, which is mezainas, in a me'en shalosh, which is an alamichya is said afterwards. But 1 second, rice itself is a ma'ase kedera, which means a stew that contains one of the 5 grains in it, and we should consider rice as one of the grains. V'hatanya, but it was taught in a brisa. Eluhain Maisa Kadiרה. The following are a Maisa Kadiרה. Okay, I'm going to translate it the way Rashi translated it and the way it was translated in the dictionary. Chilka we're going to translate as grist. That's the way the dictionary says. And it's not grits, but it says grist. Okay, I'm not so familiar with that. Rashi is a little easier. It's divided into 2. It's a grain that's split into 2. Chilek actually means split. Okay, Taragis, Rashi says, is a grain that's split into 3. The dictionary says that it's groats, which is actually sounds like oats, but with the gr at the front. That aleph goes to the goy sabach, which we actually learned, which takes out the word solas. And let's go to the next one, zariz, but we switched it to zarid, which is switched by that little aleph over there with only 1 parentheses, which goes to the Maseres Shas, which changed it to zarid. The dictionary translated as porridge, and Rashi translates it that it's a grain that's split into 4. The arsan, the dictionary translates it as crumbs, and Rashi translates it that it's a grain that's split into 5, which, okay, you made it into crumbs. And then va'orez. Let me put numbers in here so we can get it. Chilka is split into 2, and that will be our number 1. Tragus is split into 3, and that will be our number 2. We're going to skip Silas because the Bach takes it out. Zariz is split into 4. That will be our number 3. And Arson, which is split into 5, will be our number 4. And then the 5th thing that goes in here is rice. Oirez is rice. That's our number 5. Now, this is a problem because Maisa Kedera, turns out, contains, or if it's made out of rice, it would be a Maisa Kedera, and we know what the bracha is on a Maisa Kedera. It's mezainas. That knocks off everything that the previous Gemara said. So I need to put a question mark here, although you don't read this as a question, you read this as a statement. But it turns out that it's a question because we see that Maisa Kedera could be made from iris. So the Gemara answers, Ha mani, who is it? Ha this, mani is who? And the answer is Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. It's Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. And we're going to see what Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds. The Tanya, that was taught in a brisa. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Yomer. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says, Oirez, rice, min daganhu. It's a type of grain. Dagan means grain, and min, it's a type. It's a type of grain. V'chayav al chimutz kares, and you're chayav on its chametz kares. That means that if I leave rice in water for more than 18 minutes, and that's on Pesach, or I keep that over Pesach, and I eat it, then I would be chayav kares. Which means that rice becomes chametz just like any of the other grains, like wheat and barley, oats, spelt, and rye. Rice would also become chametz. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. That being the case, the bracha on rice should probably be, if it's turned into bread, should probably be hamaitzi. If it's just made in a pot, like a porridge, then it would be mezainas. Like a Maisa Kedera, everything fits. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri goes on, V'adam yoytze ba yedei chayvaseh b'Pesach. And a person will fulfill his obligation with it on Pesach, meaning if he eats it as matzah. The rule is that anything that could become chametz could be made into matzah. Anything that can't become chametz, let's say potato flour, cannot be used as matzah. You can't make potato matzah and then fulfill your obligation on the first night of Pesach because you had potato starch cracker. But according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, you can do that out of rice flour, and you can be yoitze your matzah on Pesach with rice. Of course, we don't pass on like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, but this is Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri's opinion, and therefore that would fit with the brisa before that says a Maisa Kedera, which is mezainas, is made out of rice. Aval Rabbanan lai, but according to the Rabbanan, no. Now, what that means is that everyone else argues on this, and so therefore don't consider that brisa as to be authoritative, because that's just Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Hence, rice would probably be shahakal, the way we explained it before, on the statements of Rav and Shmuel. And there's just one opinion that holds that it's considered a grain. The Gemara asks, V'Rabbanan loy? The Rabbanan hold that rice is not a grain, it's not going to be mezainas or hamaitzi. The Hatanya, but it was taught in a brisa. This is a very interesting brisa. It says, Hakaisis es achita. Someone that chews whole grains of wheat. I'm sure it was cooked in some way or toasted, and he's eating it whole. So, mevarech ala bar priyadam, you say a bar priyadam on it. We learned before that if you eat flour, that was a machlaikas. Does it lose its hadama, or does it retain its hadama? That was a discussion before in the sugya called kimcha dechiti. But if you actually eat the grain itself whole, then it would be hadama. Of course, if you turn it into a cake, it would be mezainis. If you turn it into a bread, it would be hamaitzi. But just as a wheat berry, the bracha would be on it hadama. Tachna, if you ground it. Afa, you baked it. Ubishla, and you cooked it. Bizman sha pruses kayamais. At the time that the pieces are whole, pruses means pieces. Kayamas are whole. That means what I did here was I ground the wheat into flour. I baked it. Of course, I added water. I kneaded it and I baked it. And then I took the bread, or matzah, let's say, or bread, and then I put it into a pot of water or a soup. And now I have bread in my soup. So now I look at the soup and I want to eat it. And I see there's bread in it. Now, if the pieces are whole, that means it did not disintegrate in the soup. The soup is regular, clear, and I just have chunks, large chunks of bread in it. So what bracha would I make on that? Well, betchila, the first bracha, mevarech ala hamaitzi lachem min haaretz. You say hamaitzi, it's still whole. Ula b'saif, the after bracha, mevarech ala gimel brachas. I say the 3 brachas. That's a name for benching. It's called 3 brachas. Although there are 4 brachas, but it had a name 3 brachas before the 4th bracha was added, similar to what we did with Shemon Esrei, which is 18 brachas, which had that name before the 19th was added. So benching is called gimel brachas. Okay, so bread and soup is going to be hamaitzi, and I'm going to have to bench if the pieces are whole. Im eina prusas kayamas, let's say it disintegrated. Bitchila, the first bracha is going to be mevarech ala barim min mezainas. I'm going to say mezainas on it. Ula b'seif mevarech ala bracha achas men gimel. I will make on it 1 bracha, which is like the 3, which that's the name that we use for alamichya. It's me'en gimel. It's a quasi 3. It's a shortened version of all 3 brachas. That's the alamichya. So if it disintegrated, it's sort of like the bracha that I would make on a matzah ball, I assume, would be a mezainas. Although over there it's whole, but because it's reconstituted and all of that, if it would have the Gemara is going to say later, I guess, turisa denama, if it would have the appearance of a bread, like prusas kayamais, then it would be hamaitzi. But because it doesn't look like bread, it disintegrated sort of like it would look like egg drops in the soup, then I would just say mezainas and an alamichya. Now here's the interesting part. Hakaisis esa'ires. Let's say you did the same with rice. You took rice berries, pieces of rice. Mevarech ala bar priyadam. You say hadam on it. That's interesting. Tachnu, you ground it into a flour. Afa, you baked it. Ubishlu, and then you took the bread, the rice bread, and you cooked it in a soup. Afal pisha prusas kayamis. Even though it still has an appearance of rice bread, the pieces are still whole. Betchila mevarech ala. Let's do that slowly. Betchila, the first bracha, mevarech ala bar min mezainas. I'm going to say a mezainas on that. Ula b'saif, what's going to be the after bracha? Mevarech ala bracha achas me'en shalish. I'm going to say an alamichya. It's a bracha achas, 1 bracha me'en shalish, which is like 3, we said the alamichya. Now our problem here is that we just said that you're going to make a mezainas on rice bread. Okay. Mani, who is this like? Let's do that as a question mark. Mani. Ilaima Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. If you say it's Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, Damar Oyers min Dagan, who says it's a grain. Hamaitzi lachem min aretz v'shalish brachis by bruche. That's a long sentence. But what it means is that you have to say Hamaitzi lechem min haaretz beforehand, v'shalish brachos, and benching boy brucha you need to bless. Boy brucha you need to bless. So if you read it all as one sentence, the boy could go at the beginning as well, and it would say, I need Hamaitzi lechem min haaretz and shalish brachos to bless, or I need to bless Hamaitzi lechem min haaretz and shalish brachos and the benching. So this brisa here cannot be Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri because he says that I make a mezainis on it. Elalav, rather it must be Rabbanan he. It must be the Rabbanan. Now, what I just saw is that the Rabbanan say that I say Bari Mina mezainis on rice bread. That would mean that they would say Bari Mina mezainis probably on a Maisa Kadira as well, which that's a problem because we try to say that was Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. We're saying now is that rice is mezainis. This is going to be a problem with the two statements of Rav and Shmuel before, because the chiddush of those statements was that rice was going to be shehakal, and it was not going to be mezainis. So the Gemara now concludes, Tiyufta de Rav Shmuel Tiyufta. It's a strong question on Rav and Shmuel.